Alright, let's go. So this is Professions and Their Future Impact on World of Warcraft by Bellular. Again, this is a clip of 25 minutes. Jesus fuck. I don't know when I'm going to sleep today. Fuck man, this is gonna be a while. Alright. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be I think I might go to sleep right after this.
What has happened here? Okay, so leveling up crafting. So there are. Yep. Yes, how will one become more adept at crafting? Permanent forms of improvement / progression. First is improving your overall profession skill. So not just your skill number. If you've maxed out blacksmithing skill, for instance, you will craft everything better than if you've only halfway leveled through your profession. Getting better gear for your progression through higher skill and or other profession stats on gear, because of course there is crafting gear with stats, which is pretty cool. Specialization of your profession, which is the largest source of improvement. The more you specialize in more ways that help a given recipe, the larger bonus skill you will get towards that recipe, thus giving you a higher quality that you'll be able to make it at. And there's a lot to the system that I guess they're just not really prepared to reveal to us just yet. Yeah.
Item level,
lots
basically.
of ways to earn specialization points, and doing so will be necessary to excel in your profession. Some of these sources can only be done once, others are repeatable. And this is great, we actually have some examples. Right. Making recipes for the first time. Certain discoveries in the world. An old book on a shelf could be about alchemy.
How much you want to bet this part is not going to be in the game? The one-time sources could be, but making recipes for the first time, which is fine, but certain discoveries in the world, an old book on a bookshelf about alchemy, an old buried tablet, a hermit scribe in a cave, etc., these will not be things. It would be in forms of quests, special quests, sure, and completing certain professional achievements might, which is probably like the stars. Yeah.
Alchemy, an old buried tablet, that sort of thing.
Very nice. Just find a way to make this not show up on handy notes, please.
There's no way. Of course it would be. It's not even going to be in the game, to be honest.
Achievements like crafting your first max quality item. So basically just a grab bag of stuff to do, which I think could actually end up feeling quite satisfying.
Yeah, for sure.
Not really.
Some repeatables then, which are helping factions and
the
NPCs.
only way this can be satisfying is if professions are going to be as good content as anything else in the game. Not saying that the content in the game is good, but it's like it would have to compete with stuff like mythic rating and stuff. So this whole like finding certain things in the world will definitely be on Tomcats or whatever, as like treasures or whatever, like checkpoints on the map that you go, you grab them, whatever. It would be more of a completionist thing, and that's fine. But the only way for this to be fun and not like be annoying as fuck. First of all, the main problem with profession is you can only have 2. So that's already sucks, right? If you want multiple professions, you need to have multiple characters. In my opinion, arbitrary restriction for no reason. Like why not just specialize in all professions? I mean, you have the time. There's no reason not to. It's a very old way of thinking, in my opinion. Just unlock so you can make all the professions on one character and make everything that is bind on pickup be account bound so you can send it to your alts or stuff like that. Second thing is, if the professions can't compete with any sort of loot, there's really no reason to have the professions. They tried it with what's it called? With in BFA to craft like legs. First of all, you could only use one profession item per character. Like if you wear the profession legs, you can't wear the other one or something like that. There was some restriction on like how much equipment you. I think it was maybe for gems, not so much for the gear. But again, why? The other thing is that to make, let's say, the pants that was like a competing item level was just like you needed way too many mats from the mythic raid. By the time you craft it, literally like that week or next week, you're gonna have a replacement. So it wasn't even worth the effort. You couldn't sell it. It was buy and pick up. It wasn't worth the effort because you could find a replacement, and it wasn't even like best in slot, even if you did find, like, even if you did craft it, it's not like you will replace it right away. It's like it was so garbage. It was
in the
just
world
not
through quests,
relevant
finding
content.
treasures out in the world, and fulfilling crafting orders for others.
Yeah, sure.
That's, of course, the player-to-player system. Now, ways to become more adept and have better outcome each time you craft. So what we just talked about is like the high-end level for you as a crafter with that profession, but I suppose this is for the actual craft that you're making. So
Okay, so using higher quality reagent in your recipe, that might be new. I don't know what a higher quality reagent means. It's like high quality, kind of like in Final Fantasy. I doubt they want to go that route, but we'll see.
Using higher quality reagents, first way to get them to be better. Using a new type of consumable reagent that they are calling finishing reagents. These
Pay to
give
win.
you bonuses
I'm
while
just
you
kidding.
craft the recipe, and some of them can directly improve your skill, therefore quality when used. An example might be a blacksmith using a special quenching oil, or a jewel crafter using a special polishing cloth while cutting gems. Right, interesting. So I suppose you can plug those in when you want. Which, yeah, there's a few ways that could all be quite
it's
good for player economy.
It's fairly difficult to get a grasp on this whenever it's so speculative, and like we literally have no like frame of reference for this. But it all sounds like really kind of, putting cynicism aside for a second, it sounds like they actually have went and designed a whole big profession system. You're going to be able to play with it, actually spend time and think about it and stuff like that, as opposed to the current existence of them. Very nice.
Yeah, so far I like what I'm hearing, totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Some crafting stats can improve.
See, again, it's nice on paper. How relevant is this going to be? Just because it's nice on paper, it's like, oh, this is like looks like a more intrinsic and more thought of system than what we have now. Yeah, sure. Is this gonna be relevant though? Will you need to do it? Aside from alchemy and enchanting, all the professions are kind of dog shit. Literally money sinks to create the legendaries, but because there's so much competition, you barely even make profit on the legendary unless you can actually collect the material as well, which is another pain in the ass.
Improve the resulting crafted item. One of the stats is inspiration. The more inspiration you have, the better chance to be inspired while crafting, getting some bonus skill to be applied to the outcome. Basically, a critical hit when you're crafting. While we want the system to
None of this is going to be in the game. None of this is going to be in the game.
Be largely about long-term progression and opt-in bonuses, inspiration provides a form of opt-in randomness. If you choose to specialize or gear towards inspiration, you may be able to craft something at a higher quality than your current level of progression would otherwise allow. The idea is to allow some additional excitement to give you some of those variable outcomes, but it's never required for you to be able to make things at the highest level of quality. So basically, it seems the highest level of quality is always something that you can just work towards and 100% of the time get. But if you have a fuckload of inspiration, every now and then you could kind of get there a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Which, sounds
all sounds fine.
I can already see how people will be thinking about the pros and the cons to this. I think from a sort of fantastical thing, sure, fine, works.
Yeah.
From a game system side of things, I think it is good that it seems that inspiration, well, it's like, is inspiration a stat that then once you have fully maxed a particular craft, inspiration is no longer required?
Well,
because there's
Well, that is one thing. It's like also, how hard is it really to max out your craft? You just go to wowprofessions.com or whatever the site is and just figure out how many materials you need to craft to get to max level on your crafting and to the highest quality. And then it doesn't even matter if there's inspiration or not, so you would not even spec into inspiration, and then the inspiration system will it's going to be abandoned right after. The other thing is, if you are able to eventually craft the highest level regardless, it's just going to be a bit longer. First of all, how long will it take to get there? Is inspiration going to be a massive boon or is it just a small boon? If it's a small boon, it's not that relevant. If it's a massive boon, it will feel more punishing when people are not getting it.
There's going to be a maximum level of quality.
Yeah, well, that's a thing where if you think about
Obviously.
FF for a second, because it obviously is craftsmanship and control.
Yeah.
Control is like the stat where because it's deterministic, not always deterministic, there's randomness in your actual skill of how you're doing it, but there is like a point where I can definitely get this 100% of the time if I have these stats. Some of that requires you to be like fully BIS and always use high quality reagents, but that's the thing where you could absolutely always just go, yep.
No, that never. No, fully BIS maybe, but honestly, as long as your control and your what's the other one? There's control and then there's two stats that you really care about. It's control and something. You need them above a certain level, as well as having your CP or whatever it's called above at a certain amount, and then it's like your macro will do it at 100% high quality every time. It's really not much of a gamble, and I don't really think you need BIS for that at all.
You're definitely able to. You're not at the mercy of randomness, unless
I was
you're intentionally
crafting
putting yourself at the
highest
mercy of
item level
randomness. You're not
stuff you
having
could in
progressed enough or
Shadow
skill enough.
Bringers
At least as far
without
as I
being
understand
BIS,
it.
not even
I think
close to
that's how it works
BIS.
largely for all that stuff. So I imagine they know this. They're not going to go. You can only make your 10% chance to make the best.
None
gear,
of this is getting
even if
into the
it's
game,
not
by the way.
really
No way.
dumb to do that.
I think so.
I mean, I know FF crafting does have RNG, but it's like you could outgear that as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because like you could just crafting macros, right, which kind of require the RNG to be meaningless to work.
No, they take RNG into account largely, or they ignore RNG elements.
No, it's not RNG at all.
That's the thing where it's like. Also, you can have like not.
It's just
like
100%
macros, but you can you can always go, yeah. Here's what will work in the worst case, and you macro that, and
basically.
then you press that, and it always works. Or you can do it like off the cuff and react to RNG and make it better. But it's like that's basically it.
Gotcha.
That's basically it.
So next then, optional reagents, which are a bit different.
Yeah, if you're gonna bet on RNG in Final Fantasy, first of all, waste of materials, but second of all, you'll have to do it manually. You can't macro into RNG.
Because right now you just put them in and that's that. Well, using most optional reagents increases the difficulty of a craft, thus requiring a higher skill to craft at a high quality.
Using most optional
Conversely, if you choose to use an optional reagent that, for instance, lowers the item level of the item you're crafting, it will actually lower the difficulty of the recipe and make it easier to craft at a high quality. So, all seems kind of cool to me. I'm excited to see how this pans out, and I imagine they'll start to do like kind of breakdown blogs at some point. Yeah. There are some other things though. So, profession gear. What kind of sources could we expect from progression gear?
Progression.
It's not all designed. You will certainly be able to craft gear with lots of cross-profession crafting where natural. Blacksmiths crafting mining picks and needles for tailoring is an example, and basically they are excited about the sort of cross-profession or profession thing, which all does make sense. So
we're excited for this kind of cross-profession interaction, particularly because it means someone could choose to be more of a supporter within their profession. No one gives a shit about this. If it will sell for money, they will do it. If it won't, they won't. Specializing in crafting gear for various professions, reagents for others of their professions, etc., depending on the profession. You know when this would matter, the cross-profession interaction? It would matter if you could actually use multiple professions, more than two. That's when it would matter.
So, good. Now, the inspiration stat. Let's talk a bit more about that. So, this is a question. So, you also
Because here's the dumb thing. If they're like, well, we only want you to be proficient with one profession because it would make sense that a blacksmith devoted his life's craft to be a blacksmith. Okay, how come I can just remove it from my memory, just like erase from my memory and then learn another one? And when I master that one, if I delete that and go back to being a blacksmith, I have to start all over again. It doesn't compute. I mean, I should be at the level where I was, because like, how can I just forget? But now I'm remembering. It's like, what?
These stats passively alongside your gear then. I thought it was only going to be part of your gear, much like how crit or haste works. Gear will definitely be a big source of these stats. Certain choices within your profession's specialization will allow you to get some of these stats.
Here's another thing. They're gonna add this gear to the professions, right? And with certain stats. How much space do you have in your bags right now with all the gear for all the specs that you already have? With one set for AoE, one set for single target, one set for healer, one set for Mythic Plus healer, and one set for raid healing. And then you have tank, and that one has like one set for AoE tank and one set for single target tank, like boss tanks and stuff like that. Then you have your PvP set for your healer, and then PvP set for your DPS. How much room are you gonna have in your bags after all of this, and also holding reagents and consumables and stuff like that? Yeah, that's what I thought. You're not gonna have any fucking room.
There will likely be other sources as well, enchants, consumables, etc. Consumables. So really, consumables. What does that mean? Cross profession, and it shows they're really trying to make this like more and more and more of a thing.
Well, it probably also means, you know, here's your crafting flask.
Yeah.
Here's your blacksmith flask, and alchemists can make. So you know, if you have an alchemist friend, they'll make you a blacksmith flask, or buy it off the auction house, and then it'll mean you take that and then craft for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that, probably. I imagine so.
Yeah, stuff that just kind of like really keeps that economy going.
Yeah, which obviously, you know, I think there's been a little bit of a mixed bag to that based on the combat consumables for Shadowlands, because I think everyone's like, oh yeah, you put sharpening stones and oils in, okay. Not like, yeah, they're back. Like, sure, in the like ultimate outcome of them at least.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, is there a deterministic way to gain inspiration, or is it RNG? Being inspired and gaining the bonus skill is RNG, and that RNG is based on your inspiration stat. Basically, it's a bit like how the more crit rating you have, the more you have a chance of critting. But as I mentioned above, there are lots of ways to opt into gaining inspiration stat if you want it. So they're pretty much trying to design around the downsides. We'll have to see if it works. Item quality then. What is the benefit to crafting a lower item level item at a higher quality? Yeah, good question. Okay, so here's the answer. Sorry in general, I just wanted to note that optional reagents can raise or lower the difficulty depending on the effect of the recipe. The example I mentioned
There is no
above
benefit.
would be if we made an optional reagent like the Novice Crafter's Mark from Shadowlands, which lowers the required item level from 60 to 50 and lowers the eye level from 151 to 87. Just to be clear though, the introduction of quality along with profession stats is for Dragonflight recipes specifically. I'm just using the crafter's, the Novice Mark to illustrate an example. So
there is no point.
Kind of interesting, I suppose. Maybe could be useful for like as you scale up, or kind of put more reps into a recipe where you don't want to craft like loads of high difficulty badly. Maybe you'll scale up faster if you craft low difficulty to good quality.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's just about always kind of trying to
bitten by mosquitoes today at work.
Kinda.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's a good
Yes.
way to have the same recipe work at multiple different points of your skill by increasing the quality level, as opposed to, you know, having to go get like harder reagents and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I've got a whole load of the basic stuff. I'll just work through them, but they're not completely pointless.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not. Yeah, it'd just be maybe useful, but no.
Yeah, for some other things then. So the optional reagents, they will be a bit more like the 9.2 optional reagents in that it's just a little bit more custom and interesting than just setting stats. So that's good and important. As for the inspiration stat, that will not be a secondary stat. It won't be a normal gear. It will exist on profession gear and in other areas of the profession system. And remember, profession gear is something you automatically swap into. There's doesn't seem like there's really any management that the player has to do there.
Okay, so it doesn't go to your back.
Of having more professions on a character.
Maybe.
Something they've discussed. Currently, no plans. That said, after Dragonflight...
Bro, the system is so not happening. There's no fucking way. Unless they're delaying Dragonflight to like 2024 or like end of 23, this profession system is not going live.
We all might feel very different about multiple professions, as this is going to be an all-new experience. So basically, it's a, wait now, we'll see. Of course, in FF14, you can do all of...
Yeah, how it feels with these. Okay, speaking of cross-profession interaction, is there any possibility to increase the number of professions that can be learned by one character? Realize that lots of people see value in increasing the number of professions learned by a single player, and something we have definitely discussed. Currently, we have no plans to expand this number. Yep. So, yeah, professions still going to be dog shit.
All of them in one character, but of course you can play every job in one character, because the idea of character and class, to sort of use the WoW analog, is way more loose. Your character can be any class.
Yeah.
And therefore any profession, which means you can do the entire game's content in one character.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Which makes more sense considering the amount of MSQ and stuff. It's not an alt-friendly game for alt characters, but you can do whatever you want one character, so you don't need one.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Whereas definitely,
basically,
like, it's weird. The way I play this game, I would be kind of annoyed if I couldn't have more than just to Professions, but also I'm like, I can see how it adds to identity. I can see how it used to add to identity because I used to have all
Used to
these
be.
like I didn't. I was to say I didn't. Fuck, I can't speak.
It's
Holy shit!
such an
I
old
used
school
to have all these like
mentality.
aspects of identity to my characters in terms of what they could do, but
No,
that's when the content made sense for that. That's when like
doesn't
I
now.
remember being herbalist and alchemy on my druid when I was a very very young person. I remember my
I'm pretty
sorry, go
sure
on.
since playing Wrath of the Lich King, I always thought I should have more than 2 options for professions. Even then, because it doesn't make any sense to not be able to craft more. Like, it legit doesn't. Like, you level professions to max within like a few hours. Just buy everything on the auction house and just level it. It's not like it's your life's work to be this, and it's not like you can be the best blacksmith. And it's not like you have there's this legendary blacksmith quest or some shit like that. There's absolutely nothing. It's not like you meet like the master and he's gonna teach you secret recipes or like there's nothing that makes it feel like this is a lifelong profession that like you can't concentrate on other professions while doing this. Which also, by the way, is total bullshit. Because why can I do blacksmithing and tailoring, for example? Because I can do mining in between. Why can a blacksmith not mine automatically? Why is that like another full on profession? A blacksmith should automatically be able to mine and gather herbs. I mean, he's dealing with stone anyways. He should be able to know how to mine the stone, right? Doesn't make sense. How about an alchemist? How come an alchemist can't just pick up flowers? He knows what the flowers are for. He's the alchemist. So just going into the world and picking up flowers, why is that a different profession? Same with inscription, right? It's all flowers as well. You make ink out of them. You know which flowers you need to make which ink. So why not go and pick up the flowers, right? Then what else do you have? Let's see. What? Um, Leatherworking. How can a leather worker not know how to skin, right? Like he's a leather worker. He works with skin. He should know how to skin like the piece of the monsters he needs in order to create the leather, right? It's like it's so weird. Tailoring is the only one that makes sense because you get cloth off of mobs. You don't like kill for cloth. So like literally tailoring and enchanting is one of the easiest combinations to do. You don't really need tailoring because they removed the enchanting from tailoring. But it's like as far as professions go, because they're standalone professions, all you gotta do is kill mobs. You can be a tailor and enchanter, but you can't be a blacksmith and anything else. Right? Why can't I be a blacksmith and an engineer? Clearly I know how to work stone. Like it doesn't make sense, man.
Before she was light forged, running around Legion with a fell slit in her arm because she was mining a blacksmith. Yeah, so that's what she did for that time, and that's what it was. But now, like because that part of the game has fallen away so much in favor of like the gameplay focus, at least as far as I'm concerned. All my characters are engineers for the Shadowlands wormhole. So
Same.
that's the kind of thing
Same.
where I think they need to find ways to marry that like
So
identity.
engineering is just way too valuable. You get the movement speed boost, you get the gliders, right? It's like it's just way too valuable to not be an engineer. Like it just helps you so much. And then enchanting, if you want to make some easy money, because just disenchanting stuff you don't need is so much gold at the beginning of expansion. And what's it called? Or the other one is alchemy to get double. What do you call it? First of all, alchemy is like the elixirs. Elixirs cost a lot at the beginning of an expansion, so that's a good money grab. And the other thing is your elixirs last twice as long. Though honestly, once there's a guild, what do you call it, a guild pot, whatever that you can get flasks from, you already don't need alchemy at that point. So it's kind of like whatever.
Of what the class does and how it feels to be like, oh, this character has that, while also removing the feeling of just going, well, I'm going to be engineer for the wormhole and alchemist for the
Oh,
philosopher's
the
stone
wormhole
package
from
thing.
engineering too.
I think that's one of the things. They should maybe they know to avoid that a little bit, but It'd certainly be nice to have less limits overall, so people don't feel arbitrarily forced to do another alt for profession content. It's a difficult one. It's a
Yeah.
difficult one.
And the thing is, like, if the professions are not competing with main content anyways, or like barely, who cares if like, you can be all of them? Like, it does, like, man, like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Some of the things for the Darkmoon Fair, basically nothing to say other than something like updating the Darkmoon Fair quests could go very well with the overall update. Professions in group content, then, right? Yeah, just saying. The huge focus on group content has worries for me. Could this be like a fantastic end game? Alternate end game for people. So here's the response. It's tricky to thread the needle in this one because we want to reward players for doing group content. Instances are a major part of the game. Professions are meant to span pretty much every part of it. We also recognize that, as you say, they're a great place for those less interested in group content to find loads of gameplay. Given that one of our general goals for Professions is a player can be very successful without needing to set foot in an instance. Right? We recognize that just because you want to craft
When
a
did
dragon
they
head
ever need to?
onto an epic helmet, you don't necessarily want to go and slay that dragon. Those are two distinct fantasies, and splitting those activities has a great deal of value. This is particularly because we want you to be able to think of yourself first and foremost as a scribe, a leather worker, or any other profession. For some players, ideally, their professions should be able to be the most important part, of their industry, and where they
Identity.
choose to spend the majority of their energy. Given that, they're discussing how to achieve both of those goals, having group content be rewarding to a player with professions, and also having it be kind of avoiding that to be required to be successful in your profession. You will absolutely be able to max out your profession skills and very successfully specialize without setting foot in an instance. It's possible though that some recipes will still come from dungeons or raids. So interesting.
I guess maybe you can do it in
I
the
imagine that
Prime
some
Auction House
aspects of the
then.
work order system, being able to take BOP items,
Yeah.
will help them get around some of these issues too.
Yeah, that's the thing where recipes will be like a forever problem on that front. But in terms of the materials, that's the big solution there. Absolutely, and that's why I think the work orders is such like a smart thing. It's such a really creative.
I
way to
really
solve all
hate
these
how they do
problems.
professions
But
and
at the
WoW.
same time, I do think there's
It's just so useless.
almost like the incentive.
You literally take professions for quality of life at this point, or just money making. There's no and money making is like chanting basically, and alchemy. There's really nothing to gain from professions. Well, even now with the legendaries, first of all, it costs a fortune to get to the point where you can craft the best legendary, and when you can craft it, you're barely getting any money back for that. The ingredients cost about the same, if not more, than the legendary craft.
Advising players to step outside their
So
boundaries,
dumb.
I think, is something that the game really needs to keep in mind a lot of the time, which is, oh, you're afraid of group content? Well, we've put a really fucking delicious card at the end of it for you specifically. Do you want to give it a try? And the people go, fuck it, sure. That is potential to go wrong, I think, in modern World of Warcraft in a lot of ways.
With M+, yeah.
Yeah, but I think
punishment to a new player.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely cases where they should keep that in mind as a possible tool, instead of going, oh no, you're allowed to live in your little crafting bubble. I think that's okay, but people should be encouraged to step out of it every once in a while for a more healthy cross progression game. And I'm definitely saying this a little bit from the perspective of, I guess it's just I'm thinking about like transmog, and specifically I'm thinking about Glam and FF, where I know people who are like, well, I don't know them personally, but I've seen people who are like, I have to fucking go and try to find a party for that ultimate just so I can get that weapon because I really want that weapon because I really want to look cool. Like, they don't really care too much about doing the content. They want the actual appearance from it.
Yeah,
so
that's
they're
fine.
going to go out of their way and do it even though they're not like naturally inclined.
Yeah.
They're not sweaty hardcore raiders, but they're willing to try that because they want the shiny weapon.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's
And shiny weapon stays forever.
Fucking buy boosts and shit sometimes for that. That's why not every.
You said the word.
Yeah, that's
you
why.
said the word, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh no, boosts.
Yeah, that's a small part of why some
B word.
legends you find are fucking useless.
That is why.
Yeah.
Crafter of this blue post.
Yeah.
You should have just said easy, just boost.
Just boost.
And then.
I mean, that's a problem, yeah.
And then post a link to Mike Ybarra's guild. Just
exactly.
Just boost, easy. I know a guy. Just, there you go.
Yeah.
Done.
That's the problem. It's like, yeah, don't turn around and put this behind, you know, oh, if you need cutting edge to get this recipe, don't do that.
They won't.
Yeah, but if it's like kill, get ahead of the curve LFR version, kill the emboss on LFR, something
Oh,
maybe.
oh, Jesus, man, that's rough content.
But it's still
Now
like,
you tell me it's normal, and we could be talking.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing where I think they never put it behind normal. I don't think.
Even they put an LFR of the last boss comes out like 2 months after the raid release or some shit. It doesn't even matter. So that means the worthiness of the recipe will go down so much. It's the people who would get it on normal or heroic on the first week or two that will actually make the bank out of the recipe. After that, it's like completionist because like you're not gonna make money on the recipe if it's even a useful recipe. It doesn't matter.
If they wanted people to
It's
have
on
it,
LFR.
if they wanted crafter only people to have
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh no, I'm
Put it
just
out
fucking
there.
around with
Yeah,
how
yeah,
normal's
yeah.
easier than LFR sometimes.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
said, people say that to me all the time. I'm sure I believe them. I haven't done LFR in a long
LFR is
time.
a fucking nightmare.
I'm sure it's a bit like how wasn't it at that time Preach found that like normal mode was just the worst place to be in
Did you?
because it was like insane fucking gutter land.
Yeah, that's the thing where it's not about how difficult. Okay, if difficulty is not a problem to you, the player, then because it's a group content, the difficulty is it's a group difficulty check, not an individual difficulty check.
Yeah.
And people who are in heroic are more likely to be better players.
Yeah.
Than people who are in normal.
Yeah.
Which means heroic is easier than normal. That's how it works.
It's all madness.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fucking mad. But that's how it works.
Yeah, okay,
That's
old
what
recipes.
To an extent, yeah.
basically, there's value in something like that for the work order system.
Mhm.
But right now, work orders are for Dragonflight. Makes sense. For crafting inventory, they're aware that inventory space is an issue, and they're currently looking into what they can. Please, give us a materials bag. Oh, that would be great.
We need.
Oh man, just imagine you have
Infinite
like
material
a
bag.
many slot
That would be good.
material pane in your bags.
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause other games have got things like that.
You know
That'd
what
be
we
awesome.
you know what we really need more than anything else?
Yeah.
We need one, stop fucking deciding everything that we get. Every system has 4,000 items that are unique.
Please.
I like the flavor of artifact power because you can click it and it goes away. I like the flavor of anima, but you can't click it and it goes away, which just means your bags are full of shit all the time unless you stop and dump it off.
Yeah.
That's fucking annoying. The protoform synthesis, great system overall, generally
Oh
speaking.
yeah.
Also, like, why are there like 10 different blue anima items? Just make them all the same so they can stack up. Fuck.
But also there's a bunch of items that
Same
plug
with
up your
purple,
bags.
same with the
What
green.
was the
Like,
recent one?
there's
Something
no
that
reason.
plugs up your bags loads of no.
green anima, blue anima, purple anima. Good. That's it. You don't need to make them all different.
Right? But
Don't give them flavor. It's anima.
what I think they need is the reagent bank to be about 4 times the size. Because the
Yeah.
reagent bank is perfectly fine within one expansion. Whenever you have BFA mats that now you can't fucking sell because no one's
Infinite reagent bag. Problem solved. With like, make it like a collector's book kind of thing, where it's just like, you have all the ores, all of them, and just like it goes into this slot automatically, it goes into this slot automatically, it goes into that one. All the fucking plants, it goes into this slot. All the fucking cloth, all the fucking leather. Infinite can store up to 999 or whatever, up to 10,000, 9,999, whatever. 9,999,999, whatever the number is for max cap, just put it in there.
buy them, and your reagent banks full of them. Or if you're like me and have a bunch of ghost iron and some of the lava shit from Firelands and BFA materials and WAD materials and Legion materials because you're stupid. That's basically more reagent bank space would solve this.
I literally, on the last patch of every expansion, like a couple months before an expansion comes out, a month to 2 months, I literally throw out all of my reagents. If it's not worth gold at that point, if I can put it on the auction house and have it sell, I do it. It's not worth gold. If it's like, let's say, 5 silver a pop and I even have like 1,000 of them, I just throw it out. Fuck it. It's not worth the 500 gold that I'm gonna get.
You can access stuff from it. It's like
Yeah, true.
inventory management. I don't think should be a part of a crafter's gameplay too much.
Nope.
unless it's well, yeah. Probably not.
Inventory management was only cool in Diablo 2, and even that got old pretty fast.
Probably not anymore. Probably not.
Yeah. Well, okay, another thing. Cross account-wide recipes? Probably no.
That
This isn't our current plans for professions. Yeah, no shit.
It's unfortunate because maybe if that's just a case of this would take us time to implement, we couldn't be bothered play one fucking crafter or play one of this.
Well, yeah, so they
yeah.
said this isn't on our current plans as we concentrate on other aspects of the profession system for the moment. So
Well, that's fair. If they could flick a switch, I'm sure they would, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Honestly, look, this all sounds nice on paper. You know what would have sounded better than all of this bullshit? We are making professions relevant with item level. You can only equip one piece per profession on you. However, no limit on professions per character. Everything that is buying on pickup is buying on account. Done. And infinite reagent bag. Done. You fixed for professions. People are going to have professions on their character, all of them. Multiple characters will have all professions, or some. Definitely at least one will have all the professions. There you have content for at least a couple weeks easily without doing anything, just unlocking that. Minimum couple weeks. A couple weeks just to level all the professions. Right? Make archaeology relevant again, by the way, which like it wasn't my thing, but like at least make it relevant or like have something cool in it. Like the sword was pretty cool. It was just you couldn't target it, which was like really fucking cancer. Make a better archaeology system. But like everything else here, first of all, more than half of it is not going to make it into the game. It's too complex. The devs don't even know how to go about it, how to actually like balance it. It's not making it into the game. It's too complicated to explain, let alone to how to make it. Simple changes, big fucking wins. And nothing is simpler than the account-wide recipes. Not even that, like account-bound crafts, and no limits on professions, and a reagent bag probably would solve most people's hate towards profession.
yeah, maybe there's more complexity than we'd give credit. Gathering professions. Oh, basically saying, hey, do we make all three gathering ones secondary professions? Which, okay, right. We haven't discussed the details of gathering as much with you all yet, but I will know.
We're adding quite a bit of depth to gathering as well, bro. It's fucking gathering, man. Who gives a shit? It's never fun.
We are adding quite a bit of depth at gathering as well, so we're not considering making them secondary professions.
Yeah. So it's basically not gonna change. You're gonna have probably something like inspiration for gathering to have a chance to gather more per gathering, and it's gonna be taking a slot from the crafting professions.
If that is because they earn their depth via cool design,
They
cool
don't.
gameplay, then
They don't.
great.
Yeah.
I look personally, I would be all for more professions on one character.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally would be. But
I think everyone would be because it only makes sense.
Because if you
Since the game already doesn't allow you to play more than one character, at least let me have all the professions on one of them.
put all of the gathering professions on a single character, then you've just got bots going rampant. So you do.
So what? They're already going rampant.
There's one.
sad.
I mean, was like
How many gathering professions do you have? Actually, technically, two. Like skinning is whatever. Just mining and herbalism is already like enough for bots. Imagine you're gonna have a bot that does mining, herbalism, and skinning, which is like usually where the herbs and the mines are. You're not gonna find like it's not a good rotation for the skinning, right? Like the mobs are just like not in that location. If anything, You would just want to have the bot doing rotation on mining and herbalism as a whole.
Like herbing, mining, skinning. So it doesn't really change anything. But yeah, that's just a bit of a joke. But no, I think
That's
there's one thing I
true,
would like to say, which is
but I don't think it matters.
the idea of
It's not like this
we haven't
stops them.
discussed the details of gathering as much with you all yet. Based on how they've basically preempted everything,
So
with the big post,
bad.
Yeah.
about everything and like properly had time to have feedback and stuff like that from hey, like this is like the second time they've had a big conversation about professions with like feedback and questions and stuff, and I think that's great. But the fact they haven't done this for gathering yet, and there's a couple other question marks in the expansion, I think alpha may be slightly further away than we expect, just by like 2 or 3 weeks, because if they're not going to talk about gathering because they're not ready for the details, then they're not going to want to push the alpha live because then we'll get all the details without the context. So I feel like we may be a little bit further away than we'd initially expect. So I did see people start to say a lot of this feels very much like cool ideas they want to implement,
Yeah.
as opposed to things they have in game. Obviously, they've got the UI for them, but it feels like these are great ideas, but we still haven't seen the execution. So it's worth it holding on to your hats until alpha, I guess. Anyway, because every expansion has been full of cool ideas so far, for sure.
Well, on this one, I wish them luck. I think
100%, yeah.
like
100%.
the combination of this and talents,
Yeah.
really could do a
Yeah,
lot
what
for
the
the long
fuck
term.
are those talent calculators? Come on. I want to see.
Patience.
I want to see what you're taking away from me.
Slow down. Slow down.
Slow down.
Slow down.
That'll be fun. It'll be fun. Here's the funny thing. If the talents just kind of feel, if they just kind of feel like, oh, there you go, that's it.
Yeah.
Done. Day one, right? You don't really think about them as much anymore.
Oh
I'd
my
still
god,
view
the
it as
mosquito
as a
bites.
positive.
Piece of
Because,
shit
some of
fucking
your
had a full
negatives
course
then
meal
came
over
with
my
bottom power
body.
will be gone. So even if the new system isn't like super thrilling, it's probably made the game easier to develop and therefore more sustainable and will allow them to work in the fundamentals more. So it's that funny thing.
Bro,
Where
I
talents to
love
me
the
are almost a
hopium,
win by
man.
default,
I love that they're
assuming
so
they get
hopeful.
it right enough that they don't have to constantly rework them.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that's
I can't wait for the videos where they say, where are all the promises, Blizz? Like they do every expansion.
the difficult thing.
I can't wait for that video, man. Can't come soon enough. It's like, it's clearly not happening. DMO everyone wants. Why hardcore PvP? Oh, that's that's never gonna happen. Masterpiece, the Dark Souls 1, yeah, whatever. Yeah, like, dude, the amount of hopium in this, like, almost all of it, like, this is not, like, more than half of the shit. The crit, the inspiration might happen. Like, even if it does, it's gonna be either too minor or it's gonna be so broken that everyone will have to have inspiration. But like, you're not gonna balance it properly. Item quality, I don't even know what that means. Like a higher item level, I guess. But it's like, can it compete with current gear and tier? Yes or no? That's really the only thing that would matter, right? It's like, are you gonna use it to, like, for alts? How accessible is the gear gonna be from Mythic Plus that you'll need it for your alts? Like, it's like, I think the only thing I ever bought on my alt was a weapon, a higher item level weapon than the one I had on my character, just so I can kill shit faster to level up. Once I got to max level, like, I never touch anything that has to do with professions, even if when I had a maxed out, I want to say I had a maxed out leather worker, either blacksmith or leather worker. Pretty sure it was leather worker that was maxed out, and I never crafted anything for my demon hunter. It was so easy to get gear that is above, so easy to get gear that is above the profession item level. It's like why even have professions at that point? Just to money sink into a legendary. That's all it was. all this shit is not happening, man. They are not wasting all this time on this when these are not even the changes that people really care about when it comes to professions. There should not be a limit on professions per character at this point. There's absolutely no reason. There's like lore wise it doesn't make sense, story wise it doesn't make sense, character identity doesn't make sense. There's absolutely no reason that I can think of that justifies not having more professions on one character, especially because you can just like whoop, erase from a memory, whoop, learn from 1 to max in one day, whoop, erase from a memory, 1 to max in one day. Just cost me some gold, whatever. It's so dumb, man. It's really so dumb. There's like, man, let's see what the comments say. I like all the changes, even if they are necessarily original compared to other MMOs. They're not original. They're not even gonna happen. Of that, the end game crafting won't have the same issue New World had, where you could spend a metric. The fact that at a certain point you won't need inspiration is a good thing in my honest opinion. I want these changes for the entire profession leveling experience and not just for level 60 70. The profession limit made sense when characters took time and effort to level as well as having to skill a profession. I also don't buy the excuse that it would be too much for players to learn, seeing as you don't start with the professions. As long as my professions are a way for me to gain power on my character and fill my gold bag, I'll be happy. I love the work order concept and a lot of what, blah blah blah. Have bosses drop crafted items that can be sold in the market. Let's be real. Alright, I'll just write a comment. Let's be real. Um, what else? What else? What else did I think was necessary? All right, that's my hate-filled comment right there. And all right, let's go to the next one.